don't realize how much time they spend chasing signs. They wake up and see repeated numbers on a clock 1111-222 and take it as proof that the universe is speaking to them. They find a feather on the ground and convince themselves it's a message from above. They hear a song on the radio and wonder if it's a coded signal about their destiny. And in a way, they're right. These are signs. But here's the paradox nobody talks about. The more you obsess over signs, the more you unconsciously admit that you don't yet have what you desire. You are waiting for proof, and waiting in the quantum field is the same as declaring it hasn't happened. This subtle energy is enough to keep you locked out of the reality that already belongs to you. Think about it. If you truly believed your new reality was here, would you need signs to reassure you? Would you constantly be scanning your environment for validation? Or would you simply live from the certainty that it is done? This is the hidden resistance to simplicity. In the world of manifestation, most people are not creating, they are waiting. And the waiting itself becomes their vibrational broadcast, their energetic signature. The field responds not to what you want, but to what you are. And if you are waiting, the universe keeps giving you more reasons to wait. In quantum mechanics, this makes perfect sense. Before a particle collapses into one form of reality, it exists in superposition. All possibilities at once. It is only when the observer decides when consciousness selects that the wave collapses. But here's the trick. Looking for signs is not the same as deciding. It's hesitation disguised as faith. The search for reassurance is actually a reinforcement of uncertainty. You are still standing on the threshold, still undecided, still flickering between realities. And because the field mirrors coherence, not confusion, you end up manifesting more limbo, more half-formed outcomes, more almosts. Spiritually, the same truth has been taught for centuries. Neville Goddard used to say, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." Notice he didn't say, "Wait for a sign that it's on the way." He knew that assumption itself is the creative act. To assume is to embody, to declare that no proof is necessary because the reality is already yours. Signs can be beautiful, yes, but they were never meant to be your compass. They are echoes, not instructions. When you mistake the echo for the source, you wander endlessly, chasing shadows instead of stepping into the light of what is already present. Why do we cling to signs? Because the human mind was conditioned to equate certainty with external evidence. From childhood, we were taught to wait for permission slips, for grades, for feedback, for approval. So when it comes to manifestation, we carry the same conditioning. If the universe really heard me, it will show me. But this mindset keeps you in a lower frequency loop. It's not that the signs are wrong. They're simply reflections of the state you're in, not indicators of where you're going. The more you depend on them, the more you stay in dependency. Let me tell you something that will sound counterintuitive. The absence of signs is often the biggest sign of all. When you stop seeing constant external reminders, it might mean you've already entered coherence. The field doesn't need to flash neon lights at you when you're already aligned. It simply flows. This is why right before the biggest breakthroughs, life often feels strangely quiet. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening at the level you can't see yet. The field has already locked in your choice, and your job is not to chase proof, but to embody trust. So, here's the question I want you to hold as we move deeper. Or do you simply trust the process because you know the order is confirmed? In the quantum field, the order is placed the moment you feel the state of having. The more you track it, the more you delay its arrival. That constant checking is vibrational interference. True manifestation is placing the order, then living as if it's already in your possession. And here's the deeper spiritual key. When you stop needing signs, you enter alignment with your higher self. The God state, as some traditions call it, doesn't need proof. It creates proof. When you embody that level of certainty, the signs may still appear, but they're no longer necessary. They become fun synchronicities, not lifelines. That shift in perception alone collapses the waiting loop and activates the reality where your desire already exists. So ask yourself honestly, are you looking at the world through the eyes of someone who knows, or through the eyes of someone who hopes? Because the field cannot be tricked by your words. It responds to your vibration. Hope vibrates with absence. Knowing vibrates with presence. This is why waiting for signs is the most elegant form of self-sabotage. It feels like faith, but it's actually doubt in disguise. Stay with me, because next I'll show you the exact mechanism in both quantum theory and neuroscience that explains why detachment, not waiting, is what collapses reality. Once you understand this, you'll stop chasing signs forever, and you'll finally begin to embody the frequency that makes manifestation effortless. In quantum mechanics, the concept of superposition tells us that a particle can exist in multiple states at once until it is observed. This means that every possibility of your reality, abundance, love, health, freedom, already exists simultaneously in the quantum field. But here's the twist. When you are constantly waiting for a sign, your observation collapses the field in a state of waiting. The signal you broadcast is not "I have," but "I am looking for proof." And so the universe mirrors that exact state. It gives you more looking, more waiting, more searching. This is why so many people feel stuck. They are collapsing timelines of absence without realizing it. Neuroscience reveals the same truth through a different lens. Your brain is a prediction machine, constantly projecting expectations into the future. When you look for signs, your brain is reinforcing a pattern of uncertainty. It activates circuits in the prefrontal cortex and limbic system that heighten vigilance, essentially putting your body in a low-level survival mode. Joe Dispenza explains that in this state, the body becomes addicted to the familiar chemicals of anticipation and stress, even though they feel uncomfortable. Instead of being open to new possibilities, you're neurologically rehearsing the old self over and over. You're not free to create. You're biologically trapped in waiting. But when you detach, something profound happens. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you release the nervous system from surveillance mode. You stop scanning the environment for proof and instead let your awareness rest in the present. Biologically, this activates parasympathetic states, the relaxation response. In this state, your body becomes coherent. Heart rhythms stabilize. Brainwaves shift into alpha and theta, and your system enters flow. From this place of coherence, your field becomes magnetic. In physics, coherence always amplifies power. When particles align, they resonate as one. Your mind and body become the same. And this resonance is exactly what the quantum field mirrors back as manifestation. Let's connect this to the work of scientists like Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, who has conducted experiments on consciousness in de-intention. His findings consistently show that intention has measurable effects on physical systems, but only when the intention is coherent, steady, and detached from grasping. In other words, the moment you stop needing the outcome is the moment your consciousness has the greatest impact. The field responds not to desperation, but to coherence. Spiritually, this is why so many traditions emphasize surrender. In Taoism, it's called wui, effortless action. In Christianity, it's faith that rests in the unseen. In Buddhism, it's non-attachment. Across traditions, the principle is the same. Creation happens not through clinging, but through releasing. Neville Goddard captured it beautifully when he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He didn't say hope for it or check for signs every day. He said assume, which is another word for detachment. To assume is to let it be, to live as though it already is without struggle. Now, let's bring this down to the personal level. Think of a time when something finally worked out for you. Maybe you were trying to meet the right person, land the right job, or even heal from something. Notice how it often happened, not in the peak of your striving, but in the moment you stopped obsessing. You let go. You distracted yourself. You shifted into flow. And suddenly, it showed up. That wasn't random. That was your field becoming coherent because you weren't interfering with it anymore. You weren't creating static by demanding signs. You were broadcasting clarity through presence. What the quantum field requires is alignment, not effort. And alignment is impossible when you're in constant anticipation. It's like trying to plant a seed and then digging it up every morning to check if it's growing. The very act of checking disrupts the growth. The seed only flourishes when left alone in fertile soil. Your intentions are no different. Plant them, water them with trust, and stop disturbing them with endless checking. Here's the scientific and spiritual paradox combined. Manifestation seems slow when you're waiting for it, but it becomes instant the moment you stop waiting. Why? Because time itself behaves differently in the quantum field. Experiments in retrocausality suggest that effects can influence causes, meaning the outcome can collapse before the conscious choice is even made. In other words, your reality isn't waiting for your timeline. Your timeline is waiting for your state. And your state becomes coherent only when you release the need for proof. So the next time your mind whispers, "Where's my sign?" recognize it for what it is. An old neurological pattern replaying, not a message from the universe. Smile at it. Breathe and let it go. Because the moment you stop interfering is the moment your quantum jump accelerates. That's the science of effortless manifestation. And it's not just theory. It's your lived proof if you dare to stop asking for it. Stay with me because next we'll dive into the practical side. I'll share a 3-step practice to enter this state of detachment so you can stop waiting for signs and start living in alignment with the timeline that already belongs to you. Now that you understand why waiting for signs keeps you stuck in a loop, let's turn this into something practical. Because theory is powerful, but transformation happens when you embody it. The secret is learning how to shift from anticipation into coherence, from checking to becoming. And for that, I want to give you a simple but profound 3-step practice. A way to train your nervous system and your consciousness to stop looking outward for signs and instead radiate the frequency that makes signs unnecessary. Step 1. Recode your I am statements. Every day, pay attention to the language that follows the words I am. Most people unknowingly reinforce waiting by saying things like I am still waiting for love, or I am hoping for abundance, or I am trying to heal. These are not harmless words. They are commands to the quantum field. Neuroscience shows that when you repeat these statements, your brain hardwires them, sending biochemical signals through the body that make you feel exactly what you are saying. And because the body doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, your frequency becomes the very lack you're describing. To shift, consciously reframe. Instead of, I am waiting, declare, I am aligned, I am chosen, I am whole. At first, your mind may resist, but as you persist, your nervous system adapts. This rewiring makes you radiate coherence instead of craving signs. Step 2. Train your nervous system into safety. Here's where science meets spirit. Joe Dispenza often explains that your body is the instrument of consciousness. If your nervous system is trapped in hypervigilance, scanning for signs is just its way of staying in survival mode. You can interrupt this loop by activating the parasympathetic state, the mode of rest, healing, and creation. 1 practice. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on slow, rhythmic breathing. Inhale for 4 counts. Exhale for 6. As you do, bring your awareness to your heart center and imagine it radiating light outward. This simple act of coherent breathing synchronizes your heart and brain, creating measurable coherence in your field. Studies with HeartMath Institute show that this alignment amplifies intuition and strengthens your ability to influence outcomes. You're not waiting anymore. You're tuning into the reality that's already here. Step 3. Release the timeline. This is the hardest part for the mind, but the most natural for the soul. The quantum field does not operate on your clock. It doesn't care about deadlines or schedules. It responds to readiness, not to urgency. Think of a time when something came into your life out of the blue. That was the field responding to your alignment, not your calendar. To practice this, whereas once you've set your intention, refuse to revisit when. Every time your mind asks, "But how long will it take?" smile and redirect. Say inwardly, "It is already happening." Feel the relief in your body as you detach from time. Because detachment from the timeline is not giving up. It's signaling to the universe that you already trusted, and that trust collapses reality faster than any forcing ever could. These 3 steps may sound simple, but they are quantumly precise. Language, nervous system regulation, and time detachment. These are the keys that shift you from a seeker into a receiver. Think of them as the holy trinity of manifestation and practice, mind, body, and timeline. Together, they create coherence. And coherence is the only thing the field ever mirrors back. Now, here's something important. This practice is not about repetition or grinding. You don't need to do it 100 times a day. Remember, overpractice often signals doubt. Instead, treat it like a daily recalibration. A few conscious minutes of aligned language. Coherent breathing and releasing time are more powerful than hours of strained visualization. Because in the quantum, quality of frequency always outweighs quantity of effort. And here's the part that many miss. When you stop looking for signs, life itself becomes the sign. The synchronicities you once hunted for start showing up everywhere, but now not as proof, as confirmation of what you already know. You'll find yourself walking into the right room at the right time, meeting the right people, stumbling onto opportunities you didn't plan for. This is not coincidence. This is your field reshaping around your coherence. So, I want you to anchor this right now. Type in the comments below this exact phrase. I allow it to be easy. This is not just a sentence. It's a declaration to the quantum field that you are done waiting, done doubting. One needing signs. You are ready to collapse the reality that's already yours. When you write it, feel it vibrate through your body, and know that this is your signal of alignment. Only task is to match it. What comes next will change the way you see manifestation forever. Here's a truth that most people overlook, but once you understand it, everything changes. The timeline you are chasing has already been chosen. Your desire, your dream, your vision, it's not random. It's not something you invented out of thin air. In the language of quantum mechanics, it's a potential that already exists in the field of infinite probabilities. What you call my desire is simply the signal of resonance between your consciousness and that existing timeline. That means you're not creating something new from scratch. You're remembering a reality that's already coded into the quantum field. This is why waiting for signs feels so exhausting. You keep acting as if the reality is still out there, distant and uncertain. But from the perspective of physics, the wave of potential has already been collapsed. It's your fragmented awareness that hasn't caught up yet. The split between wanting and being is what makes it seem like manifestation is hard. When you dissolve that split, manifestation is instant. It's not magic, it's coherence. Let's look at this through the lens of neuroscience. Your brain is a prediction machine. Every moment it filters information to match the model of reality it already believes is true. If your subconscious is still running the program of lack, I don't have it yet, I'm still waiting, your brain will literally delete evidence that contradicts it. That's why even when opportunities show up, people can't see them. But when you step into coherence, when you declare it's already mine and embody that state, your brain reorganizes itself. Suddenly, your perception starts highlighting all the pathways and possibilities that were invisible before. It's not that reality just appeared, it's that you finally tuned into the version of reality where it was, already waiting for you. Think of it like tuning a radio. All the stations are broadcasting at the same time, but you only hear the one you're tuned to. The quantum field works the same way. Your higher self is already broadcasting from the frequency of the timeline where your dream is complete. Every time you doubt, every time you complicate, you're simply twisting the dial to static. But every time you simplify, trust, and align, you're locking onto the frequency where the music plays clearly. That's why surrender feels so powerful. Because in surrender, you stop scrambling the signal. Here's another way to see it. Your desire is not chasing you, and you are not chasing your desire. You are orbiting each other, entangled like two particles connected across space and time. Quantum entanglement proves that once particles interact, they remain linked regardless of distance. Your dream and your current self are already entangled. The only reason they feel separate is because of the resistance in your awareness. The moment you stop identifying with the old frequency, the entanglement pulls you into the reality where the dream has always been. And this brings us to the most liberating realization. You don't need to figure out how to get there. The how belongs to the field. The only part you control is coherence. Aligning your thought, emotion, and body into one signal. Once that alignment locks in, the field reorganizes itself automatically. Life rearranges. People show up. Doors open. The more you interfere, the longer it takes. The more you let it be simple, the faster it happens. I want you to reflect on this. How many times in your life has something important unfolded in a way you could have never planned? Think about the friend you randomly met who opened the door to an opportunity. Think about the timing that felt too perfect to be a coincidence. That wasn't random. That was the field reorganizing around your alignment. When you look back, you realize the timeline was already chosen. You were just catching up to it. This is why you must stop doubting when things feel easy. Simplicity is not a trap. It's the portal. The mind is addicted to complexity because complexity makes it feel in control. But the field only mirrors resonance, not effort. When you finally accept that ease is not weakness, but intelligence, you step into the frequency of your higher self. And from that place, you don't have to chase, you don't have to force, you don't even have to hope, you just become. So here's your invitation for the rest of today. Live as if the timeline has already been chosen. Not it's coming, not I'm waiting, not maybe one day. Chosen, done, settled. Move, speak, and breathe from that place. When you do, you'll notice a quiet confidence rising inside you. That confidence is coherence, and coherence is the most magnetic frequency in the universe. Stay with me because in the final part, we're going to activate this knowing inside you, not just as an idea, but as an embodied state. You'll see how to seal this awareness into your nervous system so the shift becomes permanent. And I'll share a resource that will take you even deeper into this practice. You didn't land here by accident. If you've stayed with me until now, it means something inside you already knows the truth. The reality you seek is not out there in the distance. It is here encoded in the field, waiting for your coherence. And every time you've doubted, every time you've thought maybe it's too simple, you've only been looking at the illusion of separation. What you call desire is not a dream that someday might happen. It is a memory of a reality that already exists, calling you to align. Quantum manifestation is not about effort, struggle, or pushing harder. The field doesn't respond to force. It responds to frequency. And your nervous system, your emotions, your thoughts, they are all transmitters of that frequency. When they out, refragmented, the signal is weak. But when they harmonize into coherence, the field has no choice but to reflect it back to you. This is why we say you don't chase reality. You collapse into it. Imagine this. A mirror doesn't show you what you want. It shows you what you are. The quantum field works in the exact same way. Every I am statement, every subtle expectation, every emotional state is broadcasted into the field, and the field simply mirrors it. This is why surrender feels so magnetic. When you stop broadcasting confusion, the field stops reflecting chaos. When you declare coherence, the field reflects clarity. It is that simple and that powerful. So let this become your anchor. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer trying. You are no longer in the frequency of someday. You are aligning, collapsing, embodying. You are already living the chosen timeline. And with every breath, you are drawing it closer until it is indistinguishable from your present moment. That is the miracle of quantum manifestation. Not that you create something new, but that you remember who you already are. And if this message resonated with you, if you feel that shift inside you right now, I've prepared something to take this even deeper. I wrote a guide called Awaken Your Quantum Power, a practical ebook designed to help you stabilize this frequency, master the principles of coherence, and train your nervous system to hold the vibration of your chosen timeline. Kid's not about effort, it's about precision, and this resource will show you exactly how. You can find the link to the ebook in the pinned comment below. Think of it as your next step, a map to walk into the reality you've already touched here today. Because now it's not about knowing, it's about embodying. And as we close, remember this: the universe has never been testing you, punishing you, or making you wait. It has always been ready. It has only been waiting for you to see that the door was already open. You are not a seeker anymore. You are the signal. You are the mirror. You are the frequency that shifts timelines. So hold this in your heart as you leave this space. The quantum field is not far away. It is responding to you right now in this very moment. Live from the knowing that it is already done, and watch how life reorganizes itself around that truth. Until next time, stay coherent, stay light, and remember, you were never meant to struggle to receive. You were only meant to remember who you are.